When we thought that the Steve Harvey drama couldn't get messier, Shirley Strawberry's phone call got leaked, which painted a very alarming picture of Steve's relationship dynamic with Marjorie. Shirley hasn't been an easy nut to crack for Steve throughout their work together, but now, Shirley seems to sympathize with Steve as she believes that Marjorie only used him for money and will get divorced soon. So let's get into it and find out what earth-shattering revelations Shirley made in her leaked call. Steve Harvey and Marjorie seemed like a match made in heaven, and for years, people believed them to be the perfect celebrity couple. Steve seemingly hit the jackpot when he married Marjorie, who looked like a homemaker who's always dressed up in super expensive and stylish clothes. People didn't even think about the other side of the story, and what could be the reason Marjorie decided to marry Steve out of the blue. But now, all the questions are being raised on Marjorie's intentions as she's been facing a lot of backlash recently. It all started when news broke out, suggesting that Marjorie actually cheated on Steve Harvey with a much younger bodyguard. This news spread like wildfire, and people quickly put two and two together in this scenario. The fans also started questioning the real intentions of Marjorie, and their whole marriage seemed to be crumbling down. Initially, Steve and Marjorie didn't address all these cheating rumors, but when things got a little out of hand, Steve actually took the mic and said that there was no cheating going on during the show. But that didn't sit well with the fans, who were even hearing the news about Steve reaching out to the best lawyers in the city so he could save Marjorie from getting half of his hundreds of millions. Reports are circulating the internet that Marjorie is thinking about filing for divorce after she was allegedly caught cheating. And not just this, she also plans to get $100 million from Steve's worth after the divorce. Getting cheated on and losing so much money? This situation isn't a picnic for Steve Harvey at all. But just when the heat was fizzing out and the matter seemed to be resolved, someone else came forward with some pretty outrageous allegations, and this time, it's hard to predict how Marjorie is going to save face after this. This gossip is unintentional, and the speakers didn't want it to come out, or they did. Who knows at this point? What really happened is that Shirley Strawberry, the former co-host of Steve Harvey, was talking to her husband in prison. Her husband, Ernest Williams, has been behind bars for quite a while because he made unwanted advances against some minors in his family. If this isn't disgusting enough, one of those minors was his own granddaughter. But how is this all connected to Steve Harvey? Well, it looks like Shirley Strawberry called her husband in jail.
Steve, yesterday, Tosh was telling me I should tell him and all that stuff, and she was like, well, he's going to want to know. I said, well...
And while she was gossiping about Steve Harvey and Marjorie, someone was planning on leaking their entire conversation. Ernest Williams actually asked her about whether she went to an event and if Marjorie was there. Shirley revealed that if Marjorie was there, they would have never entered the house. And by they, she's referring to her and Steve, apparently. She added that Steve would have never let them enter the house if Marjorie was present because he's really scared of her. That doesn't sound like Steve, as he's always had a very macho personality. So fans think that there's something that Marjorie has over Steve that's making him listen to everything she says. Shirley didn't just stop there, as she went on talking about how the entire Harvey house is made according to Marjorie's liking, and there are so many rooms just to make Marge feel pampered. She revealed that Marjorie has her very own spa room in the house and a mini gym. She also has a separate space for getting massages, so it looks more like Marjorie's house and not Harvey's. These claims by Shirley are also making people think that Marjorie married Steve just for money and to have a comfortable life. In fact, reports are that Steve even cheated on his second wife and started dating Marjorie when he was still married. So fans are only wondering if karma is troubling Steve Harvey these days. People are also pointing out how Marjorie was just introduced to him through bodyguards and they immediately started hanging out, then got engaged, and soon the duo was married.
It's Earth, Wind, and Fire, that's the way of the world. Our favorite song is by Prince.
It does sound like a fairy tale ending to a perfect love story. But eagle-eyed fans believe that there was always something off about Marjorie. Some even pointed out that Steve was never his true self whenever he was around Marjorie, and that their relationship dynamic was also very weird. Fans are now saying that Marjorie always tried to dominate Steve, and she was the one calling all the shots from behind the scenes, while Steve obviously had to listen because he was so in love with her. Shirley Strawberry didn't just hang up the call, but also said that Steve Harvey is the sweetest person and is always happy to see her and the team at their house. He even invites them to come over more often, but they don't really want them. and they hardly ever go to their house in the presence of Marjorie. According to Shirley, Marjorie doesn't really like having them around the house, and she doesn't treat them very well. In fact, Shirley told her husband that Marjorie sees them as if they're the house help and not her husband's guests.
Turkey chili today.
Okay, turkey, that's one of my favorite dishes.
Yeah, and you're gonna love it.
I've never made it, though.
This tells a lot about whether Marjorie respects Steve, because she's not even respecting his guests, to the point that they don't even show up at Steve's house. Some people believe that Marjorie does all this intentionally so people stop hanging out with Steve and he could be alone enough to be in complete control of her. If he's gonna be around people, they'll obviously tell him the hard truth about his relationship with Marjorie, and that's basically the last thing she wants. Fans also believe that over the years, all the feuds that Steve Harvey has had with his best friends, Marjorie was behind each one of them because she just didn't want Steve to get a reality check from any of his friends. Shirley Strawberry also revealed that Harvey doesn't really say much to his wife, and everyone has to endure her behavior just because Steve himself is afraid of her and can't say much to the insulting antics of his wife. Shirley's husband also went on to ask her if Marjorie has started to look old now, but Shirley said that she hasn't seen her for really long and that she looks just as flawless in her Instagram photos. It looked like Shirley was gushing over Marjorie's life with all the fitness trainers, spa rooms, and other luxuries that came with marrying Steve Harvey.
Should found me a little early.
Yeah.
But you know what was crazy, though? I did, because she actually lived in Cleveland.
Despite working alongside Steve for so long, she also didn't seem particularly fond of Marjorie. Shirley obviously noticed early on that Marjorie looked down on her, and the two never got along after that. Steve Harvey and Marjorie both have made it pretty clear that they're inseparable and their relationship is going strong, but this leaked phone call is giving rise to new concerns about Steve's well-being.
It's a restraining order.
Yeah, that ain't what that warrant say though. That's not what that warrant said. It ain't said nothing about no restraining order. Period.
People think that Marjorie will either force Steve to live with her so she could enjoy all these luxuries, or she'll get a divorce and enjoy half of Steve's wealth. It's also unclear if Steve would still want to work with Shirley, considering how she has basically exposed his wife in the worst way possible. Steve has always shown a very positive side of his marriage to the world, and Shirley's leaked call has basically ruined the whole vanilla image he created in the press. Now, people are actually seeing Marjorie as someone who controls Harvey and has the power in the house, as Steve is scared of her and doesn't even counter her if she's doing something wrong. That Steve Harvey and Marjorie's reps are yet to react to this leaked audio, but it's already making waves on the internet, with fans being really disappointed in Steve. Some even think that the media has turned a very minor issue into a big thing and has taken it way out of proportion, while the couple still claims that there's no bad blood between the two. What are your thoughts about this whole matter? Do you think Steve and Marjorie are still two peas in a pod? Tell us in the comments. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. We'll be back with more gossip. Until then, take care, and thanks for watching.